Well, with that backdrop on the macros, let's get to micros again. Let's invite some of the very good performers of 2024. We've already seen a couple of them last week. Let's focus now on the cables and wires sector. High volatility in commodity prices did impact margins in the second quarter, but the sector is expecting its margin to normalize in coming quarters. To discuss this, we have Anil Gupta, Chairman and Managing Director of KEI Industries, joining us. Mr. Gupta, good morning and thank you very much for sparing time for us. Well, first up, just take us through this. Revenues were good. I think all of you have given us some 16-17% revenue growth in the current year, 2024. But margins amiss. How will things pan out for Q3, Q4 and the next year's Q1?
Yeah, good morning, Latha. Thank you very much for this year-end show. The year has been very, very volatile in terms of LME prices, especially of copper and aluminium. And, that has impacted a little bit of margins from 0.5% to 1%. But when the prices goes up and then goes down, so overall, I see that if we see overall for full year, I think this will normalize and it will average out. So we expect that the industry will maintain the guided margins and irrespective of the volatility on the metal prices.
Mr. Gupta, can you just highlight for us or just draw out the demand scenario? You, I think, couldn't pass on all the price hikes, but how is demand emerging? Are there enough institutional buyers, big real estate, projects? How are you looking at demand?
See, presently the demand is driven by 3-4 sectors. One is transmission and distribution is very strong. Secondly, solar power projects, solar developers, that sector is doing extremely well. Third, the data centers, which are coming up in bulk. And then real estate, a normal growth. But industry is also coming up, and we have seen capex coming up in new private sector industrial projects. So, but major is driven by transmission and distribution and solar, and the renewables.
Okay. So, what would your dependence be on government-led infrastructure projects? Because we've seen a slowdown in spending. Has that impacted you?
See, I think in our sector, spending has not been reduced, especially in transmission and distribution. I think the spending has been less in cement sector or some of the civil projects or maybe railways. But in electrical sector, in power sector, the spending has not been reduced. And since a lot of RDSS projects under the distribution and transmission, new transmission policy, which was declared 3-4 months back, and all those investments are ongoing.
I take your point. In fact, very interesting. You spoke about how transmission and distribution, data centers, all these are giving you enough demand, real estate as well. But can you tell us private capex? I mean, not many people have spoken very positively about it, but you're saying that you're seeing demand. Can you elaborate on that point? See,
we have seen some of the industries in semiconducting space coming up. And, I know that there is a little bit slowdown in cement and steel expansions, but a lot of expansions has been started in last 2 years. And those projects are now having substantial demands because the cable demand comes in at a time when almost 50 to 60% project is almost over. So now is the time that they are buying cables and, coming. They can't stop the projects which are already ongoing.
Okay. But what sectors are these? These ongoing projects?
Steel and cement, and these are the two major sectors.
Okay. So you're sticking to your revenue guidance of 15 to 17% for the year and a margin guidance of 10.5 to 11%, or do you think there's scope to revise it?
I think I stick to the guidance on our growth in sales as well as margins. But since earning season is starting, so it will not be correct to give futuristic guidance.
Okay, so before now you're sticking. And what about your 2025 top 3 priorities, sir? What would your focus area be?
See, presently our company is undergoing massive expansion in terms of capex. We are, putting up a project at Sanand near Ahmedabad at an investment of close to 2,000 crore, and first phase of it is expected to be commissioned by June 25. And the overall project will be commissioned by March 26. So that will give us, that is going to almost, increase our production capacities by 65 to 70%. And we are also considering further capex. Thirdly, we are seeing a substantial improvement in our exports, especially to United States and Europe. And we will see a significant amount of our sales coming up from exports in not next year, but after that, because we have to bring in capacities first to increase our exports.
Point taken. Mr. Gupta, it was a pleasure hearing you out on how you see the sector panning out. It's almost like how India's industrial growth will pan out. You're such an important sector here. Thank you very much. And here's hoping that your capex plans fructify and multiply. And here's hoping that 2025 is a brilliant year for you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, well, that's the word coming in from cables and, the cable sector. And I think that was a positive conversation. They have invested a lot in expansions.